everyone is a worshipper. Whether you're in the praise team or you're not in the praise team.
Yes. We need to prepare our hearts, our minds, get into the atmosphere of knowing I'm going to worship.
Mimi ndio umeamua ninaenda kanisani kuomba ama kuimba.
You are too much focused on the material things and not the things that are in your heart.
Revival starts with you.
Yeah, it starts with you.
It starts with you, then it's spread out to the world. Hello guys, thank you for joining us. My name is Simon Mwangi.
Yeah, karibuni sana. My name is Mwangi Samson.
Please subscribe, like, share and comment to this video.
We are back with yet another topic. Welcome back to the roots of worship. Today we are going to talk about playing your part in worship, and we are going to dwell in the congregation. Yeah. We have seen it best to talk about playing your part. Worship is for everyone and it involves everybody. And today we are going to talk about the congregation. Sometimes the congregation thinks that worship is only for the ones who are leading worship, the praise and worship or the worship team. Yeah, but it's also for them.
Yeah, congregational worship is the singing together.
Yeah.
Both the praise and worship and the congregants in one body of Christ.
Yeah, very true. And we've seen it best to talk about this because people tend to think that the part of praise and worship is only for those who are leading, and sometimes they do not take part. They decide to keep quiet and they decide to watch as other people pray, as other people worship. And it is best that they know that it is good for them to take part, to play a part in worship.
Yeah, it is good for them joining the praise and worship so that it may be seen to be one thing. They have a common agenda. Unlike they relax and the praise and worship take part in the singing and worshiping.
Very true. So if you are a member of a church and you do sit down in the congregation, this is for you. Watch out. Now, I want us to talk about people failing to pray or just watching as other people worship during a worship session.
Yeah, worshiping is not just meant for the worship team.
Yes.
Everyone is a worshipper. Whether you're in the praise team or you're not in the praise team. So until we understand that all of us are worshippers,
yes,
is when we will start taking part in the praise and worship session. So we should not leave them on their own. It will be like two groups in the same hall.
Yeah, very true. We should understand that we are all worshippers and we should take part.
Yeah, true.
The essence of learning the basics of worship is to know that you are a worshipper and everybody should worship. Now, the part where somebody comes to church and keeps quiet and decides to watch or decides to get entertained with the ones who are worshiping. And sometimes people go further to say we were not hyped,
But I think before you make that decision of going to church, you yourself, wewe ndio umeamua ninaenda kanisani kuomba ama kuimba. So unapofika kanisani na unakaa chini na unaweza pata maybe there are some cases where there is health problems in which it is understandable, but you can find someone just sitting down, not taking part in any way of worship.
Yes.
So I don't think that is a good thing.
Yeah. So worship, I guess when we come to church, even before we come from our homes, we need to prepare our hearts, our minds get into the atmosphere of knowing I'm going to worship, I'm going to praise, I'm going to pray, so that when you reach to the church, you are already in the mood, you are already prepared to come and worship. Sometimes people do not prepare themselves, and that's why they come, they take moments, minutes to sink in to worship.
Yeah, and I think in our previous video we discussed about worship leaders staying in the presence of God, seeking God wherever they are. I don't think it is just their duty, even the entire congregation.
Yes.
It is not just because you must lead people for you to seek God.
Yeah.
Even you in the congregation, as you prepare to take part in the congregational worship, also always stay and live right with God, so that when you come in His presence, you may experience His move.
Yep, very true. And to the congregation, playing a part also means that you try to participate in what you're being directed to do.
Yeah, too.
Sometimes the worship leader tells you to lift up your hands, you're not lifting them up. The worship leaders leads you into a song, you are just quiet. The worship leader leads you into a dance, you're not doing anything. So for the congregation, at least playing a part means to participate in what's going on. Yeah. And another thing we need to talk about the congregation is being so judgy.
Yeah.
During the worship session.
Of the leaders who are leading the songs.
Yep.
You before he leads or she leads, you already have a picture of her. Yeah. You might have known the person leading the worship. Maybe he's your neighbor, maybe you work with the same person. Yes. But what you have to understand, when that person is in the presence of God, they are two different people. Yeah. You know him or her in the local setup. Yeah. But when he comes to lead the worship in church, he's a new person, and he has been given the mandate to lead worship and transfer the message from God to the people.
Yeah, very true. So to the congregation, being judging the way somebody is leading worship, or you are judging the way the instruments are being played, or you are too much focused on the material things and not the things that are in your heart.
Yeah.
So for the congregation, we need to be, at least we don't focus on the material things.
Yeah, true. And maybe inaweza kuwa mmezoeana na mtu.
Yes.
Kule nje ya kanisani.
Yeah.
So ukimpata kanisani, hauhisi ya kwamba anaweza kufanya kitu mbele yako ama mbele ya watu. So inafaa ile heshima mtu anapokuwa kwa madhabahu pia wapewe support, so that they may able to deliver on their mandate.
True. And then let's talk about arriving to church on time. You know, worship and praise is the first thing that begins in most of our churches. Hiyo ndio kitu ya kwanza. Sometimes it is very rare to find a church that begins with a sermon and then worship and praise. Yes. So most of our churches huwa inaanza na the worship session. And sometimes from the congregation we've learned that most people come halfway to the end. The worship had started and people are coming halfway. It is almost over. That is when people are arriving, the congregation.
Yeah, I think we normally, in our custom, we normally come to church mostly on Sundays. Yeah. We have services mostly on Sundays. Maybe in special cases, in some churches, they have services in several times in a week. But let us just speak about Sunday. You know, it's the only day in a week where we come back to give God thanks.
Very true.
And I don't know why you should wait. And I don't know why ni kama mtu anasahau ya kwamba leo ni siku ya Jumapili.
Yep.
So that day is holy, and even the Bible says that we keep the Sabbath day holy. So we should always prioritize godly matters on such a days like
Very
Monday. God has given us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the entire week to look for money, to do other things. But when it comes to the Sabbath day, let us keep it holy.
Yeah.
So it should enable us to create time with God,
Yeah.
so that He may speak to us, because there is nothing we can do without God.
Yeah. And speaking about the day Sunday, I'm very sure during the other days hauwezi chelewa kazi. Hauwezi chelewa kazi. And you know, people sometimes do it intentionally. They get late intentionally.
Yeah, true.
Because of some attitude, you know. Some attitude they have, like they just know that these people don't sing well. And they just don't come. What they miss is that it's not about them singing, it's about you and your God. And that's what people forget.
And I think in some way we might be doing we might be doing some activities and some character that may block God from blessing us.
Yeah, very true.
I remember our bishop always talk about, you can pray for God to give you a vehicle. And maybe God is hesitant to give you that vehicle because that vehicle will drive you away from church.
Yeah.
So maybe God is holding back your blessings because it will drive you away from His presence. So material things must not come between us with God.
Yeah, very true. So taking part or playing your part in worship as a congregant, as a member of the church, is very important. It's very important because when you realize that it's not about the people who are worshiping in front here, it's about you will come to church early. You'll make sure you are starting the worship session with the others. And it gives you time to lay your request to God. It gives you time to pray. It gives you time to give thanks to God. It gives you time to put some requests, some prayer items that you had purposed to do.
And I think we come to church so that we may be equipped to preach the gospel more to the world. But if we behave in such a way, year in, year out, we will remain the same level, the same Christians. So we must create that environment for us to grow, be available in the church.
Yep. And another thing about playing your part in worship, one of the mistakes we see with our congregation is they want to be entertained. And most especially when we are doing our praises and worship, people want to be entertained. They dwell so much on how does the song suit me, how was the session, how was the atmosphere,
and how is the person singing?
How is the person singing? Is he boring? So people tend to change their attitudes because the person is boring. Maybe the person is not hyping things, and that's the mistake our congregations make.
We must understand that we said previously that worship is you and God.
Yeah.
There is no any third party. So regardless of the person who is leading the worship, you must connect to God and should not be distracted in any way.
Yep, very true.
And I remember that we should take worship in such a way that I don't know if there is any peace. Maybe if I speak on my behalf, I've never find peace in anything like when I'm worshiping to God. There is some kind of relief in your heart. You just feel like worshiping and staying there for the entire day. Yeah.
So to our congregation, this is just it's just to jog our minds and to remind us of what we are supposed to do, to play our part in worship. Another thing is the preparation that we have talked about, the preparation coming from home, because in some instances what we experience as worship leaders is the congregation, some of the individuals in the congregation tend to get their concentration somewhere else. Like somebody will just look at you like you're a TV, look at you like you're entertaining him or her. So they just look at you until you intimidate worship leaders. So at that point you realize as a worship leader, this person is not getting anything because he's not singing, he's not praying, and he's not worshiping. He's just looking at you. And when you interact with that person after the service, you'll find him or her
has gained nothing.
So to our congregation, this is just to jog your mind and to tell you that you need to be alert during our worship sessions.
Let us improve our congregational worship. Let us take part as one body in worship. And as because the Bible says, when two or more come together, I am with them. So let us come together as one body and experience the greatness and the move of the Lord in our churches.
Yes, let us fill our churches with warmth. We do not want churches which are filled, it's cold. I mean, people are not dancing, people are not praising, people are not singing, people are not praying. And one of the reasons that causes this is because people tend to do the outward thing. Maybe they are afraid of people seeing them pray. They are afraid of people seeing them worship.
And I think that is the most thing that is affecting most of our churches.
True.
We look unto who is looking at me while I'm praying. How will people say if I kneel down? How will people say if I lie down and cry out to my Lord? So it's all about what people are saying, not about how you are thinking and how you are communicating with God.
Very true. So to our congregation, we need to play a part in worship. And there is this thing of people getting bored during the worship session, and then they want to be vibrant during the praise session. We have witnessed that. And what people miss is that there is no important session
like the worship.
There is no important session like the worship session. It's very important.
True. So guys, please let us up our game. Let us take part in the congregational worship, and let us worship God for who He is at all times, and let us worship Him in truth and in spirit.
Very true. To our congregations out there, this is for you. We need to be spiritually awake and wake up.
Maybe I can say revival starts with you.
It starts with you.
It starts with you, then it spread out to the world.
So thank you so much for joining us. We welcome you again and again to follow us for more.
And please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. If you have something to share, comment in the comment section. We love you guys.